looking at me.
Can I have your attention, please? Yes, I, Wanda Sykes here. You ever think about all the nicknames we have for breasts? Boobs, tatas, the girls, chesticles, bubbies. Heck, you might even have your own nickname for them. And yet, even though they get so much attention, they're still so ignored when it matters most. What's up with that? Well, on February 9th, tune in to see why I'm talking so much about breasts and visit yourattentionplease.com to learn more.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet.
We have Dave Spadaro joining us now. Let's see. Yes, Dave is here. It's an all-Dave hour. Welcome, Dave. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here. Great to be still alive in the NFL, right? Only two remain. There can be only as in the movie The Highlander, there can be only one.
Let's get to one of the interesting matchups, and it's on the coaching side of it. We know that Vic Fangio wants to make you operate fast, and the Chiefs don't. And over the years, Andy Reid has figured out Vic Fangio. He's 8-0 against Vic Fangio coach teams. What can make this matchup different based on the personnel Vic has to work with versus the personnel Andy has to work with?
I think the Eagles have to get some negative plays. I mean, one of the things that the Chiefs don't score a lot of points, but they're really good on second and third downs. And like you said, they play slow and they kind of control the clock and they dictate. If you were to make a basketball analogy, they dictate the tempo of the game. So I think the Eagles have to get some negative plays. And I think the Eagles feel like they can win up front. And with Jalen Carter, I think you always have a chance to win up front. And that is very, very important. I think the back-end stickiness also really helps this Eagles team. They won't blitz a lot, but they've done such a good job here. And the latest example was the Washington game where they had the crush rush against Jaden Daniels and really limited him to one 19-yard gain, and the rest of his damage with his legs was minimal. So that is very critical. And look, the Eagles have also been taking the football away. And so if they can do that as well, it really changes the way the Chiefs operate. And then, of course, Steve, look, if you get a lead, you change everything with the way Kansas City plays. Now, they came back from 10 points in the Super Bowl. I would just say this offense throughout the year to this point for Kansas City has not been the offense that they had in 2022. There's just not a lot of explosiveness in this offense to date. That could all change, of course, on Sunday, but right now they just haven't been that kind of explosive offense. So I think those are some of the things that work in Eagles' favor.
Yeah, I agree with all that, Dave. Here's the other part, though. You talk about explosiveness. I wonder about a guy, the rookie Worthy, and how he figures into this, because he may not be Tyreek Hill speed-wise, but he's maybe a half step slower.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the Eagles are obviously aware of him. He is really fast, and he had a good game in the AFC Championship matchup, and the Bills took away Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes had some big running plays and some plays down the field to Worthy, and so the Eagles are aware of him. But look, the Eagles they match up really well. I mean, the youth they have at cornerback and in the secondary really, really helps them. And big play Slay has played very well. So I just feel like the Eagles know what they're going against here. They respect everyone on the Kansas City Chiefs team. There are going to be X factors, as we saw in Super Bowl 57, and you just have to mitigate those and find a way to eliminate mistakes. And that's the kind of football the Eagles have played for most of this season and certainly throughout the postseason.
Kadarius Toney. Dave, I grew up a Giants fan when they drafted Toney.
Exactly.
I hated the pick.
Exactly.
I hated the pick when they drafted him. Right? And then they traded him and said, good.
Yep. Exactly. And so, that's what you're kind of working with. And you know that Andy's going to try the screen game. He's going to throw a couple of wrinkles at you. Some trick plays are always a possibility. We've seen Travis Kelce catch the ball and pitch it, for example. I've known Andy's always been a trick play guy. So this defense will be prepared for everything. But look, Kansas City is a champion for a reason. I would be shocked if the Eagles shut down the Kansas City offense. I think the offense is too. I don't expect the offense to go crazy on the Eagles, but I would be shocked if Kansas City gets shut down.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's only one team that is capable in this game of blowing out the other. It's the Eagles blowing out Kansas City. Other than that, all the other scenarios are in play. Kansas City cannot blow out Philadelphia. They would have no shot at doing it. This team is 2-2. They have a team meeting, and they're talking to the coaches. And Lane Johnson, among others, speaks up and says, we have Saquon Barkley in the offensive line. We need to be running the football. How important was that message and the fact that the Eagles coaching staff took that to heart?
Yeah, very similar to Nick Sirianni's first season when the Eagles came out of the gates struggling. They made the decision to kind of become more run-oriented, and they turned the season around and made the postseason. So Nick has shown a willingness to listen, to change, to adapt, and it changed the season. I mean, again, the key statistic of all of these things that we talk about, the Eagles at that point at 2-2 were -6 in the turnover department.
That's right.
They finished the regular season +11. They are +10 in their 3 playoff wins. If you want to boil it down to one thing, that is the number that matters above all else. And it comes with, taking fewer chances and running the football effectively means you're not throwing the ball, you're not dropping back, you're not risking an interception, you're not risking a fumble, what have you. You're running the football with a superstar of superstars behind a great offensive line.
Jack Ham and I talk about this all the time in our broadcasts. If you win the giveaway takeaway battle and you play defense and you can run the ball, all 3 of those elements work in any element or any stadium. And the Eagles have all 3 of those. Fair?
Yeah, I think so. And the physicality that they play with, they're going to be able to run the football. I mean, look, I think Kansas City is going to provide a much stiffer test than we have seen to date. But even the Bills ran on Kansas City last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I think you will see a running game, and you'll see Kansas City come out. Look, I remember, I don't know if this resonated with you, but first series of Super Bowl 57, the Kansas City Chiefs came out and they laid the wood. Miles Sanders got hit on the sideline, hurt his hand, was a non-factor the rest of the game. Devontae Smith got lit up, and by the end of the game was limping around. I think he actually finished the trip wearing a boot. So, I mean, the Chiefs will set the tempo defensively with their physicality, and they'll try to match the Eagles. And I don't think there's been a team yet that has matched the Eagles in terms of being physical. So I really, really look forward to these kinds of matchups within the game.
Yeah, to me, another matchup within the game is not just Chris Jones, but George Karlaftis. Karlaftis, to me, has been a guy – I loved him at Purdue, Dave. I was like, wow, this guy's going to be a really good pro. Well, he's turned out to be a really good pro. And it's given Jones an additional guy on that front to work with. I think that's been important going against what's probably the best offensive line in football in the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw Chris Jones did a great one, and he had a big Super Bowl against the Eagles. And outstanding player, great matchup. But, you're right. They have multiple pass rushers. They bring it. They play with high effort. Spags is always going to have a great scheme and present the illusion of pressure even when he's not bringing it. And, I talked to Jeff Stoutland about it. He's like, you got to prepare for everything and know that there's going to be stuff that just they're not going to have ever shown you that they're going to bring. And it's a very, very complicated scheme defense, and one that I think the Eagles will be prepared for. Again, a lot of continuity up front. The Eagles have played the Chiefs each of the last 4 seasons, so they've got familiarity with Mahomes on offense and Spags and what he does on defense. So, again, healthy respect, but I feel like the Eagles understand all this and still, know that if they play their best game, it's going to be really hard to beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
If the Eagles play their best game, there's no question about that.
Yeah,
especially,
and that's the thing. Like, Steve, the Chiefs make you play at your worst game at times. I mean, they change the way teams play, and I feel like teams go into games against the Chiefs feeling so tight, like they can't do this, they can't do. Well, the Eagles play that way. They don't turn the ball over. They run the ball well. They're physical. They play good defense. So I feel like the Eagles don't have to change how they play. They just have to play their game.
Well, I'll give you a story about Saquon Barkley at Penn State. Now, I don't want to jinx him for Sunday, okay? But he fumbled his sophomore year getting upended against Maryland. That is the last time he fumbled at Penn State. I don't mean losing a fumble. I mean fumbled. I mean, when you have a running back who's that reliable, to me that changes everything on the thought process about how you play a game. When you look at a guy who takes that kind of care of the football, who blocks on blitz coverage. There's so many things Saquon Barkley does without the ball that allows the Eagles to win offensively.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been blessed to be here long enough to see the greatest of the great ones, right? Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, Eric Allen, who made the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which I'm thrilled about. You just recognize the best of the best. And Saquon is in that category, certainly at this point in his career, and probably always has been. But you find out how important the offensive line is when That's you right. take Saquon Barkley out of New York and put him in Philadelphia. He does everything. He's meant so much to the team. I know he's going to be a focal point of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's used to that, and he will rise to the occasion in the greatest way on the biggest and grandest stage.
No question about that. I have no doubt that he's going to be a great player on Sunday. Do you ever sit down and picture how the game might play out, Dave, or you just let it play out and just react to as it goes? Do you like ahead of time to picture it?
Well, for me, Steve, it's like, obviously I'm the Eagles insider. I've been with the Eagles for 30 years.
Sure.
I find the Super Bowl itself to be as gut-wrenching and an unpleasant experience watching football as I've ever had in my life, because it means so much, and I'm so wrapped up in it, and I understand the consequences. There is no, and I've been on both sides of it, there's no greater feeling that I've ever had. And this includes the birth of my children. It includes being married. I love my wife. I love my first wife. I love my kids. Incredible. But there was nothing that I felt that made me happier, honestly, than the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And then on the other side, that made people be like, oh, my God, this guy's nuts. But then on the other side, when you lose the Super Bowl, it is devastating. So watching the Super Bowl, I just let it play out and just, my stomach's in knots. I can't move. I can't breathe. And I'm just, hoping for the best of the best.
Yeah, I know in days leading up to, because Penn State went through the college football playoff this time for the first time, and it was 3 games. And leading up to it, you just want to get to the game, right? Yeah. You're preparing like you always do and so forth, but like, you know darn well if you win, like this is it, it's the next step. If you lose, it's over. That's like, and that's something NFL people like yourself have understood that for decades. So.
Yeah, I mean, and it was gut-wrenching to watch Penn State lose that game. Penn State had no business losing that football game, and I'm sure for you, it was painful to watch it unfold the way it did.
Yeah, it was at our end of the field too. So it's like, oh no, because that Miami situation, you're in that corner. So but very quickly, special teams and all this.
Huge.
Yeah.
Jake's got to be great. Dave Tobe is the special teams coordinator in Kansas City. He was here in Philly. He is excellent. I think the best special teams coach in the league over a long number of years. The Chiefs are very, very solid. Now they've got a young punter.
Yes, they do.
So we'll see how he responds to the pressure. Yeah. Jake Elliott has been a little wonky at times, but kicking in a dome helps everybody. I feel good about the Eagles' return game. I think they've done a really good job covering kicks. So, but I mean, it's just as important. Every single thing matters. Everything. We saw the game turn.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. No, on the Tony punt, right? You're going to talk about that?
Yeah, exactly. It all turned on the Tony punt, and that was a killer. And so, every single thing matters. And you're getting me all uptight already. It's only Friday. The wife is coming into town. The daughter's coming into New Orleans. We're going to have a couple days of fun and then get really hunkered down for Sunday and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because anybody who sits there and says, and I'm talking about the players, right, or even a coach, it's just another game. Like, I talked to Jack Ham about this. I mean, he played in a few of these. He'll be the first to tell you that, like, the consequences, pro and con on every play, are magnified because it's not just another game.
Well, right? But I think the reason players say that, Steve, is they want to really remind themselves that the worst thing you can do is go out there and play out of character, play hero football. That is the worst thing you can do. So I think they say it's just another game, meaning, hey, I'm going to go out there and play it as hard as I can, as well as I can, but I'm not going to do things out of character.
There are a couple of guys, though, where I think I look and say to myself, who are you trying to convince, me or you?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the guys. Those are the guys you worry about.
Some of these young players who have not been in Super Bowl experience, they played in the national championship, so they are kind of used to this kind of moment. It is absolutely a different kind of day and a different kind of game.
Yeah, so you're right about that, and I'm going to let you go here in a second. You're right about that because of the extension of the college football playoff. You're actually going to have more players coming into the league that have this kind of experience, and it's going to be better for the NFL that they have that kind of experience.
Well, I think that's why some of these draft classes have been so good. That COVID kept these kids in school longer, so when they came to the league, they're more physically developed, more mentally mature, and ready to contribute early. I mean, the Eagles rookie class is lights out, and that's never ever happened. So I think the kids in college are growing into men much earlier than before they get into the NFL.
Enjoy having your wife there. Enjoy having your daughter there. Enjoy New Orleans, and enjoy the game. And I know how you'll enjoy the game. You'll enjoy the game.
There's only one way to enjoy the game, Steve, and that's to win it.
You got it right. You got it right. I remember being on the plane going back after the Orange Bowl. It didn't feel great. Hey, Thank you, my friend. Okay, have a good time. Go over to Dickie Brennan's, get a steak. Quarter Two Sisters, whatever. Just have a good time, okay?
You got it, man. Hey, thanks for having me. Great talking to you again, Steve.
You're the best, Dave. Thanks so much. Love talking to you.
Thank you.
All right.